y'all. Phoebe Rizzo here, talking to the void once more, since I don't know if anyone's listening. Can you hear me out there? Anyway, so now, anyone who's been watching for a while has noticed, I usually have a disc of some sort to be brandishing around whenever I'm doing one of these. And the reason for that is simple. I buy a lot of movies. I have several hundred films in my collection. I think I'm well past the 2,000 mark at this point, I believe. Now, most of them aren't, okay, that's not speaking correctly. Some of them aren't usually the type that I would throw into a review here. Many are. But my acquisition rate is ongoing, and I continue to acquire them quite regularly. Now, I usually have three modes of acquisition. One is just simple opportunism. I see something, I get it. Well, if it's something that just jumps out at me. It's not that hard for a movie to jump out at me, but, well, there we are. Otherwise, sometimes I'll go out with the sole purpose of getting movies. This usually takes one of two forms. One, going to one of the cheapest places around and just rolling the dice, seeing what I get for as little as possible. And you all have been subjected to quite a few of those, particularly when I was doing my bad movie month back in February. Now, or when I keep referencing my Dollar Tree pickups. Now, the other is I'll go to stores that specialize in used products. And those ones tend to be more expensive, but I usually find I strike gold in there quite often. And that's not uncommon for me to drop $100 to $200 in DVDs alone. I might have a problem. Regardless. And sometimes, though, for those, I don't always pay the most close of attention to what I'm picking out, because, like I said, it isn't hard to attract my attention. Now, usually the criteria for if it exists, I'm going to want it in my collection. But with how many movies there are, I do have to curate a little bit on my intake, because I've only got so much space to store them and so much money to work with. But there's a few things I regularly look for. Horror is often there. Now, this particular title I got on one such venture to a used store. Now, let's just say Exotic House of Wax. It has an eye-catching title. Okay. And usually this is a movie that I would maybe consider, but the reason I mainly picked it up is because it's from Full Moon. Now, Full Moon Entertainment does, well, quite a few movies that I regularly enjoy, and several that I love to not enjoy. Killjoy, which is done by Full Moon. The Puppet Master series. Several bad Lovecraftian movies are done by them as well. The whole Subspecies series, they seem to have hit a market for intriguing trash movies. So, I picked this one up on that, and, well, I'll be honest, it's pretty much a softcore porn. But, I watched it, so I'm just going to throw it in up here for a review anyway, because why not? Okay, so, that out of the way, away we go. Now, Exotic House of Wax, or The Erotic House of Wax, as the title card indicated, is I think it's 97? And this one will have some more recent packaging, but I'm pretty sure it was late 90s film. Now, it begins with 4 college students that we're going to be following through this that act more like sitcom high school students, just from how dense and the level of acting it seems like something you'd see on Saved by the Bell. Anyway. One of their grandparents has passed away, and pretty much the only thing that was left to her was a wax museum, which is pretty much out of business, falling into disrepair, and several $1,000s are owed in back taxes, and overdue bank loans. So, yay. But it's also supposed to be haunted. Cool. Now, it was sort of that kind of venue that was the reason I picked it up, because Full Moon, they do bad creature features all the time, and some of them with a risque atmosphere would be something I normally would pick up. So I was expecting some sort of erotic thriller, maybe, or something in that general gist, but no, we don't even get really into that territory. Now, this film then goes for them going to there and starting to clean up the place. However, when they get there, they realize that looks like Grandpa was rebranding it to be an erotic wax museum. Okay, sure, fine. And as they begin to get things settled, there's also an apartment out back, so they're all going to be staying there. The girl who now owns it, well, a mysterious figure starts almost appearing to approach her, which they begin to realize that they may not be alone. In particular, each one by one then seems to, at night, stumble upon one of some of the wax figures mysteriously coming to life and fornicating with each other. First off, one of them sees Cleopatra and Mark Antony doing the do. Now, she just more or less writes this off as probably a dream because she's sort of the spiritual energy, crystals, new age character who already was recounting erotic dreams earlier, so she thinks she saw it, but really wasn't sure. Anyway, as that plays out, apparently this mysterious figure keeps putting a medallion on the figures, and this medallion is what later brings them to life to have fun with each other. So, the other people, one by one, seem to witness the figures coming to life, including Romeo and Juliet and Casanova. So, that's mostly what this film is excuses for these wax figures to be going at it. Now, eventually, this also is taking place while they're trying to figure out how to save the wax museum. And there's also a awkward romance going on between two of the characters, neither of which will admit to it, the other. Until one gets their medallion put on them, and then they bang. Alright, so, the hooded figure first. Well, at first, I was going to have some complaints here, because you see it's just a figure, you can see a bit of a chin, black cloak, and cartoonishly bad monster hands. Now, I was thinking, okay, really low budget, and pushing it. But later on, when the figure is unveiled, it actually was someone just wearing cheap fake monster hands. So, I'll let it go, because it was a costume within the confines of the movie. Okay, movie, fine. Now, eventually, they find the figure, and unmask her. And this is where the movie gets weird. So, apparently, she was, I guess, dating Grandpa, despite her being about the same age as them. And then later, seeming to be now the girlfriend of the other girl that's here, that's not involved in the main love story. So, she is a part of an ancient society dedicated to this medallion, dating back to Pharaoh times. And she's mute because this is, I guess. And they work with her then after discovering how the figures come to life to essentially put together a better wax museum and use that to try to pay the bills. The plot of this thing is way for thin because it's a softcore porn. I mean, there's a lot more story here than a straight out porn, but it's at least pretending to, at least trying to have some semblance of the story. Okay. So those two have a foursome with Venus and Aphrodite. Yes, I'm aware Venus and Aphrodite are usually the same entity, but in this, they were just labeled like that. I don't know. It's the movie's logic, not me. And it culminates with them ending with their big opening day, where they have a big Marquis de Sade bondage show, which wins over the moral, the opposed. Like, it was the lady who was trying to get them shut down. Because she sees this scene, she gets so turned on that obviously she's interested in helping them keep going. Yeah, that's about really it. So, critiquing this one's a little bit different than most of the ones I've been having to go through, but so it's more of a try to be a comedy to a degree, and does it succeed? Not really. It's goofy, sure, but it's not really funny. The acting, it's terrible. The characters, like I said, it's like a dropouts from the high school sitcom. Effects are pretty much non-existent, but there isn't really any effects to be had. It's characters pretending to be wax figures and then pretending to have sex, because that's all they really are. The way the sex scenes are handled in this is, well, yes, there is full nudity on both genders. They don't go so far as it's mostly just the all audio kind of cuts out, and they just play music loudly while everything happens, and it's clear that they're not actually doing anything, just a bunch of grinding mostly. But essentially, there's one minor one just during the credits with an early Cleopatra one, and then first Cleopatra, Casanova, Romeo and Juliet. The characters there's in the film the foursome with Venus and Aphrodite, and then the big show at the end. So there's a good 7 of these scenes in a hour and 40-minute movie. So they take up a lot of time, and they aren't short either. It grinds everything to a halt for this, and it just keeps going. So, with that said, it was not boring. So I'm gonna give this one a 2 MacGuffins because I've seen worse, but it's not good. But yeah, I don't know if these are gonna be a common thing on my show here, but realistically, with how sketchy some of the things I pick are, it is kind of surprising this is the first thing like this that I've reviewed, and I know I do have a few others, so who knows? Maybe I'll throw up reviews as they come up. But yeah. It's awkward. Don't know if there's anything else to really say about this one, though. It's not really a sci-fi one, not really a horror one, so it's outside my typical ones. I guess it could qualify as fantasy, so since you have magic medallions bringing wax figures to life, and I guess it was trying to be spooky with the hooded figure stalking about at first, so I guess it's in the loosest definition fits the bill for my show, but here we are. 2 MacGuffins. Give this one a pass. It's not really worth the time. Wow. Okay, cold shower time.